Hey everyone, this is Dion here from Pen Name Publishing and French Press Bookworks. And today is supposed to be an episode of our author hangout, Roundtable. We're talking today an article about literacy in the textbook ban in Portland, because this is a big deal, the fact that Portland decided that they wanted to censor their textbooks and in some cases not even use any textbooks and only used free source material. So textbooks are a very large part of the publishing industry. So the fact that Portland could say that they're just going to not use certain textbooks was actually a really big deal. But unfortunately, a lot of our authors right now are traveling for the holiday, and a lot of our authors are doing really awesome things like moving or just being really awesome. So they couldn't join us today. We had a lot of last minute changes. So if you want to talk to me about this article, I would love to. You're welcome to go ahead and jump on via Google Plus right now, and we can talk about it in the comments. I'll moderate you in. But generally, if you read the article that is in the links for the author hangout, there's a lot that goes into this. It's not just banning textbooks, and it deals a lot with banned books, the influence of certain people in the industry on how books are put together, and how even the American history is written. So a lot of it comes down to who buys the most textbooks. So the number one purchaser of textbooks is Texas, and number two is California. So you have a very conservative state and a very liberal state that influence the textbooks. And we saw some issues last year where some of the textbooks that were printed specifically for Texas had a lot of racially insensitive statements inside regarding Mexicans and Mexican Americans. And then there was an incident that the article talks about that you may remember in Houston, where it downgraded the impact of slavery on America, and it called slaves workers instead of acknowledging the fact that they were in fact slaves. So who is buying the books right now is largely dictating the history that our children learn. So for Portland to ban the books, their statement was that they were speaking out against the oil industry that moderates so much of what goes into the content that our children are learning, and also because it downplayed climate change. The oil industries influenced the textbooks enough to where they were able to write out climate change and the importance of climate change. So it's something that I wanted to talk with everyone about in regards to banning books. When is it okay to ban a book? When is it not okay? Where is it okay to ban a book? Who has the right to say what goes into a book? And in this particular case, who has the right to change our country's history? So for this particular case, I have to say that I do stand behind Portland. I wish that they could find the right material to teach their children. I wish it didn't impact the publishing industry, but in this case, unfortunately, our textbooks just are not transparent for our children. And it's a time of strong emotions in America in relation to the election, to race relations, to sexual relations. And our children need to be fed properly in order to figure out where they stand in that fight. And I think if we want our children to be partners in equality, that they need to be able to be free thinking and unswayed. So that's the challenge with this issue, is when it comes to writing textbooks, how do you get to say what our children get to learn? And when a school comes and says these textbooks are not appropriate for our children and they ban them, what's the next step? How do you teach your children? Because it really, public schools are there for education. And as the article says, you know, schools are not necessarily a place for political indoctrination as a public school. Maybe if you want to send your children to private school. But, you know, it's kind of an issue. So I'm really interested to know if anyone listening or hanging out with us today have children in school and they've seen any questionable material inside of their textbook. I would like to know if anybody is from an area where the textbooks have been banned, or where you have gone to a more open source, free source learning program. I know when I was completing my master's degree, we didn't use a lot of textbooks. My master's degree focuses, the main is professional writing, but I focused on UX, IX, interfacing. The technical title was web content design and construction. We didn't really use textbooks at all. We used a lot of open source, free source learning, videos that people had put out, articles that my teachers had found that were really just to the point and cut out a lot of the BS around the textbooks. And that is for professional learning. It doesn't go down to history. How do you edit history? Why are we editing our history? Why are we so afraid to let our children learn the history of our country and allow them to create their own thoughts and how they want to interact with the world today? Children are our most valuable resource. They're our future, they're our present, they're what our future is built upon our children. And I know that I want my future children to learn about everything. I want them to learn the nitty-gritty truth about slavery, about why we left England, about what happened to the Native Americans, the civil rights struggle, the LGBT struggle. I want them to learn about Stonewall, about Harvey Milk. And then I also want them to learn things that aren't being taught, like how to be an adult. I know in my economics class, we had to learn how to do taxes. In my school, we were really fortunate to get a lot of real life education that I know in the 16 years since I left high school has now changed. So it's really kind of scary to look at, for me, to look at some of the education possibilities going on right now with text, how we teach our children and things of that nature. And then being in the publishing industry, seeing how it's so influenced by who buys the books. And I think that trickles down not only to the textbook industry, but also to every author. Because there are a lot of people in the industry who can kind of sway who reads what, where it's available, why it's available, and why it shouldn't be available. So this issue goes deeper to me than just textbooks and goes a little bit more into the entire industry. So for the audience out there, feel free to chat with me on Facebook. We're at www.facebook.com/FrenchPressBookworks. You can chat with me live on Twitter at FPBookworks. Yep, sorry, kind of forget how that was abbreviated. You never really use your own name. So that's FPBookworks. And I would like to know if you have seen your children have questionable material in their textbooks, if you have seen them go with the school as banned textbooks. And then I would also like to know if your personal writing has been banned, or if you feel like your personal writing or publishing journey has been influenced by situations such as this, where you're not able to get your book out to the audience that you want because of I don't know how else to say it other than politics. So I think this is a really interesting topic that all authors should be interested in. And one part of the reason we do this roundtable is because we want to bring up issues with our authors and other authors and writers that watch with us about what's going on in the publishing world, what's going on with books, what's going on with readers. And we want to talk some good news, and then we also want to talk some challenging news. Just to kind of widen the aspect of what you might be up against and what's really going on. So those are kind of my thoughts for today on that. I'm sorry that the other authors couldn't make it today, but in future episodes, the really cool thing is if you want to join us, you can. We have our invite event page on our Google+, and we put the events out on Twitter as well as our Facebook, and of course on Google+. But in the future, we're going to have roundtables with all authors, writers from outside our family, inside our family. And if you want to talk to our author panel about a specific topic, go ahead and email me, Dionne, Dionne, at pennamepublishing.com. Email me your idea for a topic. You can come on and be a guest and you can debate with our author panel, or we can just kind of chat it out. I'm interested to talk with people about anything having to do with their author platform, their writing process, etc. So with my thoughts out of the way, I'm gonna segue into something really awesome because we're changing our family around. So those of us who have followed us for a while know that we have Pen Name Publishing, which is bold stories by bold voices. And we've put out a lot of challenging books that some other publishers wouldn't touch. We started with LGBT YA fiction, which is now becoming a little bit of a cash cow in the industry, and larger publishers are eagerly snapping it up. But 3 years ago, that wasn't the case. So we've published a lot of LGBT fiction. We've published books about PTSD, about mental illness, about issues such as cutting with Ralph Pullen's Anti-Artists. He has a very mentally anguished main character who understands that everything beautiful has a fatal flaw and wants to cause destruction to some of the most beautiful things on earth. And it really is an amazing book with this completely different style of writing, kind of free-flowing, a lot of kind of stream of thought in the thought process where you can actually understand why the author is, the narrator, sorry, is thinking like this and reading like this, because it's how a lot of us think. We worked really hard to not let grammar take over in the case of this thought process and let it flow. And it really turned into such an amazing book that we're so proud of. So Pen Name Publishing kind of wrote those kind of books. And then we created French Press Bookworks because we worked with some authors who, when we edited their book, they would undo all of our edits and they'd be like, no, I want it exactly like this. And we would say, well, it's not grammatically correct. It's a little awkward. And they'd say, this is my voice. This is how I want it. So we decided there was an opening in the industry to create a new kind of publisher where the author came to us and said, I already have editing, or I like how my book is written, I don't want you to touch it, or I want you to edit my book. Then they could tell us, I have cover, this is how I want my cover, this is the artwork I want, or they could tell us to design their cover, and then formatting, and then they could elect to work with a marketing executive or not to work with a marketing executive and handle their own business. And depending on what they selected, depended on their royalty rate. So we had some authors that took upwards of 80% royalties because they came to us and all we had to do was format their book and we did no marketing for them because that's what they elected. In theory, it sounded really good, but in practice, even those authors who came to us and said, I've already paid an outside editor to edit my book, I want higher royalties and no editing. After we would put the book out, attribute the editing to their editor, it would come back that there were some grammar errors in there, that we had mentioned, and the author said, no, I'm good with it. And we ended up having to change the grammar errors, which is an expensive process when you're a publisher to have to take a book down, refile everything, rework everything, put it back up. And even though our authors said that they were fine with their editing from the beginning, we didn't want to take that right away from them after their book was published, even though they told us originally they didn't want us to do anything with it. We had some authors who gave us cover art that they really wanted, and it just wasn't clean and professional, and it didn't represent the brand that we wanted to have. So we gave them these options at the beginning to try to create a new style of publisher. But what we realized is that an author might say that they want these options, but when it comes down to their book, it's not what they want at all. They actually want all that attention, and they want the editing and the formatting and the cover design, despite what they tell you at the beginning. And sometimes they don't know this until they get into the process and realize that their editing isn't good or their cover design isn't good. And then A lot of authors think that publishers are their personal assistants. So we've had some authors who felt like we needed to be writing their tweets, so we should have been writing their personal blogs, that we should have been handling their personal Facebook pages. And honestly, there's not a publisher in the world who's going to do that for you. That's what PR firms are for. That's what personal assistants are for. And so what we realized is, in theory, it sounded really great, but in reality, it just wasn't what an author wants in the end. So we've decided to merge all publishing onto French Press Bookworks. And the reason we do that is because all of our authors are actually the same. And they work within a community together, and they promote each other in a community. And our author base is fantastic, and we love all of them. So now we can treat them all the same way, and we don't have people with different options. And our inside team, also, we thought with French Press Bookworks, we'd be a little bit more hands-off, and we would only do what people told us they wanted at the beginning. But it wasn't like that. And we're actually a really hands-on family, and we really care for our authors. So it just became where the philosophy of the French Press Bookworks publishing style didn't fit with our team philosophy of community and teamwork. And then some of the authors that we attracted in French Press Bookworks just didn't match our team authors as far as being like hardworking and integrated into our community. So we attracted some authors with bad attitudes and who were just kind of like negative little plants, where they had no accountability, no drive to succeed, and then just wanted to blame everyone around them for their negativity. And that's not how our family was built. So we decided that we needed to consolidate our publishing. And French Press Bookworks is going to be really cool. I'm so excited for this because we are bringing the Etsy of the publishing world. So if you go to FrenchPressBookworks.com, you'll see that right now we're accepting applications for our vendor marketplace. So we're looking for editors, we're looking for book formatters, we're looking for cover designers, we're looking for graphic designers to help out our authors with marketing collateral like Twitter cards, Facebook cards, advertisements, bookmarks, things like that. So anything that has to do with getting a book from an author's hands into the market, that's now what French Press Bookworks is. Because when an author wants a service, they can go to the internet and they can find service providers. But then they might have to go one place for a cover, another place for editing, or they might find a place that offers all the services, but it's still by the same company. So what if you want different people to put your book together, but you want it all handled from one location? And that's what French Press Bookworks is. It's going to give authors an opportunity to meet amazing, vetted industry professionals who are top of their game, who are carefully screened, and work with them directly from one single marketplace. And this doesn't exist on a free platform. It does exist in some places, but the vendors have to pay fees to be a vendor, and authors have to pay fees to access the vendor. And we're not about charging to meet the professionals to help your book. So I think it's something that's going to be really revolutionary with authors and writers and publishing professionals, and we are extremely excited for it. So head on over to French Press Bookworks. We're also opening up our author writing group, so you can write with our author team. You can elect for a free option that gets you into the writing channel. We utilize the Slack application, or you can elect a paid option. The paid option is $10 a month. You get to write with the authors, but you also get your writing passed through our editing team. So for $10 a month, you can send us one chapter of your writing every single week, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll let you know kind of developmental issues, consistent like grammar issues that we see, answer any questions you might have about where you're progressing, and help you get that book written. So in the writing group, we do word sprints, we do daily prompts. We have different chat channels in Slack for if you need help with plot from fellow authors, if you need help with characters, if you're just stumped, you can put your questions out, or you can help other authors with their questions. So the big thing that we feel in publishing is that when one author wins, everybody wins. So we're really big on community and team building and giving opportunities and education. So with our authors, we are constantly giving them resources, creating tools to make their life easier. And then we're also launching Bookworks University. Super excited about this as well. So Bookworks University is going to be an online learning platform that has classes for the authors. So we're going to be talking to you about your author platform. I'm going to be sharing my blog writing course, my blog writing tools, how to get your blog onto the front page of Google within only a week, 2 weeks by using my method, how to automate your social media, how to build your mailing list, best practices for Twitter, for Facebook, for Pinterest, for Instagram. We're going to be covering all of it, how to write a novel, how to market your novel, best practices for working with a team, because a lot of authors don't understand how to work with an editor or how to work with a cover designer. And when you don't work with them properly, you don't get the results that you want. So this is going to be a great platform. There's going to be some live classes, some self-study classes, some free classes, and then some paid classes. So we're really excited. So that's going to be Bookworks University. It's a part of the new French Press Bookworks. And then all of our lovely titles that we've kept within our family have moved over to Pen Name Publishing, which is www.pennamepublishing.com. And our authors are really amazing. So with our amazing authors, we have a challenge for you. On July 21st or 22nd, sorry. I always get the date wrong when I first say it, but we're going to go with the 21st. Dory Ann Dupree is currently in a really tough fight with her family. Her husband has been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and it started with colon cancer, and unfortunately it spread, and it's a very difficult situation. I know a lot of people have been touched by cancer, and so you might understand when that surprise comes that someone you love has cancer, then the surprise doubles to find out that they're terminal. So Dory is an amazing soul who donates most of the profits from her book directly to the UNC Lineberger Center for Cancer Research. And she has a goal to raise just a little bit more money. So we're hoping that you can help us out with this. July 21st, it's called A Day Without Coffee. So what we're asking is on July 21st for you to give up your coffee and instead take that $5 to this link, bit.ly/no coffee for cancer. So that link goes directly to the fundraising page where you can drop your $5 to help Dory reach her goal. All of the money on this website goes directly to the UNC Lineberger Foundation. It is a page that they run for people to fundraise for them, and it is tax deductible because they are a nonprofit with their research center. So you can give up your coffee. And I know that's so hard for authors, but if you have 3 cups of coffee a day, just give up one. Give up one. Give Dory $5 and let's fight cancer. If you want to fight it in an even better way, buy her book. Show Dory some extra love and buy this amazing book, Scout's Honor. So Scout's Honor just recently got a 5-star review from Reader's Favorite. It has a cover blurb from a Pulitzer Prize winner. And the reviews that are rolling in for this book are just beautiful. And so I think it's a really good summer read for you when you're going to your beach for these last few weeks of summer. So check that out. That's Scout's Honor by Dory Ann Dupree. That's also the fundraising is A Day Without Coffee, July 21st, all day. Give up 1 cup. Last little thing I'm going to talk about here is our book club. So on Facebook, we have a book club, and we read 1 classic and 1 modern every single month. So that is on Facebook, Pen Name Publishing Book Club. Unfortunately, the handle, the lecture URL is Pen Name Publishing Neighborhood, because we first started it as a chat group with our authors, and it's a really stupid name. But you can look it up by Pen Name Publishing Book Club or Pen Name Publishing Neighborhood. You can chat with us and readers from around the world about awesome books every month. So the classic that we're reading right now is Pride and Prejudice. Love this beautiful little cover. It's just gorgeous. So editor Rachel Edgell, this is one of her favorite books. And ironically, as soon as we started reading this, a lot of Pride and Prejudice memes and quizzes have come out. So it's going to be a really fun read. We're really excited. Book number 2 for this month starts reading for this. We'll start the discussion on July 18th. Reading begins July 15th. Is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. And this is a worldwide bestseller. It's gotten a lot of really funny reviews. It's really hot on BookTube and Bookstagram. So we're totally excited to be reading this, and we would love for you to join in with us in either A Man Called Ove or Pride and Prejudice. So that's all we've got for today, but go ahead and feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. Talk to us about the banned books issue, about how books influence education, about how our children are being taught how to think through the influence of their textbooks and what's being written in, what's not being written in, or even if a school system has the right to say what's in a textbook is not what they want the children to learn. When can a school system say what should be allowed in their textbooks? And if a school system bans a textbook, is that just as bad as the textbook having questionable content in it? You know, where's that line drawn? How do we know? Should we create nationwide textbooks? Should we create regional textbooks? What do you do? It's a big industry. It impacts all of us. So you might think, oh, I'm a fiction author. This has nothing to do with me. But anything that impacts any part of the publishing industry does trickle down to you on some level. So it's an important issue to talk about. Hit us up on French Press Bookworks at FP Bookworks. Join us for future conversations. You can see our events on Google+. You can also, like I said earlier, contact me. I'm on Twitter at Girl vs. City, GIRLVSCITY. Let me know a topic that you want to chat with our author team about, or if you just want to talk about yourself, why you're writing. Here at French Press Bookworks, we're making it open for all authors. We want to talk to all authors. We want to meet authors, writers from everywhere, talk about your challenges, your successes, things you've noticed, what you love about the industry, and how to help other writers succeed. That's our number one goal. Educate yourself, learn, and help your fellow authors succeed. So if you want to join a part of our family, you can submit your completed manuscript at pennamepublishing.com. We currently accept all genres, but we do look for a very specific type of author. So you have to be really into like teamwork, supporting your other authors. You have to want to learn. You have to be independent. You have to have goals. So if you're a writer that has goals, that wants to learn how to be the best author you can be, and who isn't going to shove your accountability on someone else, go ahead and head over to Pen Name Publishing, and we'll take a look at your manuscript and see if we can help you be the best author that you can be. So that is all for today. It's 7:30 in the morning, my time. My coffee is now cold, but I am going to join you next week with this beautiful little coffee mug that is going to have something else on it, because we have some surprises in the pipeline. So join us next week as we unbox some really cool things to share with you and chat with us live. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you later.